Welcome to this masterclass. I'm excited you're here. The topic today is how to design a self-managing business that runs without you. I mean, that's all we want as business owners, to have a self-managing business that can run without us, without our daily involvement. So there are three keys I want to share to finally remove yourself from day-to-day operations and getting your life back. That's kind of the big promise. That's what I want to share in this masterclass. That's why using this time together, really focused, put your cell phone away, close your different tabs, unless of course you're watching on a cell phone, then don't put your cell phone away. But don't go on social media, don't check email, just focus on these next minutes together, because I really will hold nothing back on really how to set up a self-managing business. You also get access to the self-managing business framework, so you actually can go through and work through some of the aspects we're going to cover today on your own to really apply it to your situations. But first, let me ask you a question. What made you start your business in the first place? What made you start your business? When you launched your business, what was the intention? For most people that I ask this question to, it is freedom. It's a freedom. Money and freedom is kind of up there, but for most business owners and entrepreneurs, freedom actually was kind of the real motivation. Even if money was the motivation, it was money to actually get freedom. Financial freedom, time freedom, freedom to build something where you basically are in control and you don't have to report to anyone. But now, when I ask business owners how would they describe their life in one word, never, or only very, very few times, freedom is the word they would describe their life with. And that is tragic, because a lot of us, and I've been there, so I know exactly how this feels. We are starting a business for freedom, and all of a sudden we are trapped in the own business that we've created. Even if it makes a lot of money, we are feeling that we've created our own monster, so to speak. It's working, but somehow we are basically not getting out of the day-to-day so that we can actually reap the fruits of the labor and kind of are always in firefight mode, are always the ones who are solving the problem. We are kind of the bottleneck. Everything has to go through us. So the real question is actually, do you own your business, or does your business own you? Do you own your business, or does your business own you? Now, that's not a clever, just a question. It's basically hopefully a wake-up call to say, even if the business owns me, let's start to envision a life. Let's start to work towards a life where that is not the case. If you're working 50 hours plus every week, making every decision, putting out every fire, afraid to even step back, then you're not running a business. You are basically trapped in a job that you have created. So here's the promise. In the next minutes, I'm going to show you three keys that can actually transform your business and give you a roadmap into a self-managing business. So it can run without you. Now, this will not happen just from one moment to the next, but it at least will give you a roadmap and knowing what to do and how to strategically work yourself out. Now, I am not saying it's a self-leading business. So if you don't want to have anything to do with your business, you got to sell it. You maybe want to become an investor or get a board position, and then you are basically not really involved in it. I'm talking about a self-managing business where you are still the leader of the business. You are still making the strategic decisions. You are actually implement the strategies to move forward, but it's really working on the business rather than in the business, so that you actually have the time and the resource and the mental focus to move things forward and not just react to the urgent. You become the architect and not just the builder and the worker in the business. And that's basically a big shift. Now, how did this all start for us? this man, you saw him in the beginning, Cosimo de' Medici. Now, what does Cosimo de' Medici have to do with a self-managing business? Basically, we at Medici, we take our inspiration from this guy, Cosimo de' Medici. And I don't know how much you paid attention in history class, but he was an important man. He was at some point the most influential and richest man in Europe in the 15th century. He actually turned the city of Florence into a hub of art and ideas. It was kind of the place to be, the Silicon Valley of the 15th century. If you were a creative genius or wanted to do business, you went to Florence and wanted to be connected to the Medicis. And now all the great artists that we know of, Leonardo da Vinci, who painted the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper, was on the Medici payroll. Michelangelo, who sculpted the legendary David and painted the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican, also paid by the Medici. Now, in addition to just backing artists, which they are really known for, the Medicis also helped support scientists such as Galileo Galilei. He was even the tutor of the children of the Medicis. So for many years, they really created a legacy. And if you go to Florence nowadays, you will experience that on every street corner there is something connected to the Medicis. Now, this all started that my brother called me one day and said, I've been studying about the Medici family. Chris is, he loves studying art and history, and he spent a lot of time studying the Medicis. And he said, I've read now and studied so much, and I've realized that there are so many things we can actually learn, not just in the area of art, but in the area of how to run a successful business and create a legacy, because they really created a legacy. So he basically took me to Florence, what started kind of now as something amazing, because we actually said what we are learning, we can't just keep for ourselves, we need to learn it together in a community. And we've created what is now known as the Medici community, business owners, a network of business owners from around the world come together to study and learn from the Medici family. So this is a picture from our last gathering in Florence. We even had a former prime minister and a princess join us, but business owners from around the world kind of said, how do we learn? What do we learn from the Medici? This is a picture from our conference here in Mallorca. So I live with my family here on the island of Mallorca, and so once a year we have a conference here, and we engage and learn from each other around the topics of business, of family, of legacy, of how do you set up and think through some of these key things. And the feedback has been phenomenal. If you go to our website, we have over 100 people from business owners from around the world who kind of shared how this really is making an impact, how they are looking at things through a different lens. Now, the backbone of the Medici family, and that's where we come to the topic of today, the backbone of all of their legacy, of all of their wealth, was the Medici Bank. They had a cash cow, so to speak, that created money for them, that gave them the freedom and gave Cosimo the freedom to get involved in arts and philanthropy, religion, all the things that shape society, politics. He basically used his time, but he did it as a business owner who created the Medici Bank, which was the bank all over Europe that he basically set up, and it played a vital role basically in creating the Renaissance, because he set it up as a self-managing business. So he did not have to be in the day-to-day operations. He really could focus on all these other areas because he had a self-managing business. Now, he was still very heavily involved in the business, but it was a self-managing business. Cosimo understood the truth that wealth isn't just money, it's time, influence, and impact. So he didn't run the day-to-day of the bank. Instead, he built a self-managing business of trusted partners allies, frameworks, and governance that really was able for him, enabled him really to create the legacy and the renaissance kind of that came out of so much of their involvement and of their investment into Florence, but into kind of the art and all the things that they really shaped. But the question came out of our community to say, okay, how do you actually build up a self-managing business? How do you do it like Cosimo did it? And so out of that, we basically started the self-managing business program where we go through and learn together how to set up a self-managing business that came out of kind of the blueprint of the Medici Bank. So let's bring it back to us. Let me just ask you, how, imagine taking just a 3-week vacation while your business grows. Just imagine that. You can be gone and your business still grows. Imagine having the time to strategize, to innovate, to lead instead of firefighting. And whenever you are firefighting, which is still part of our lives, we set up systems, frameworks, put people in charge so that we don't have to do the firefighting in the next time. Now imagine finally experiencing the freedom you started your business for. So let's get practical. I want to share 3 keys that will unlock a self-managing business. The first key is this one. A self-managing business starts with the mindset. Now, I know it sounds a little cliche, but it really, when it comes to because there's so much written on mindset, but there's a reason why there's so much written on mindset. But when it comes to a self-managing business, it is so important that we realize what got you here won't get you there. You need a shift in mindset because most of your success, if you have been successful as a business owner, depended on exactly what you've done. The problem is that this will not get you to the next level. Because in the beginning phase, you actually are the one who makes everything happen. You bring the momentum, you bring the sales, you basically are in so many things the product or the service. It's you. And in the beginning, this is needed to get traction, to get momentum, to get things rolling. But at some point, if you become that bottleneck, everything has to go through you, there's a limit, and the limit is your time. So you have to work more to actually have more success. And I'm not just talking about, small teams, or if you're alone as a business owner or a freelancer. I'm even talking about teams of people that I've met, business owners who have a large team, but still they are basically the bottleneck because they've never made the shift. So I want to just give you a personal story as a kind of a shift, because not all business are built the same with the same mindset or the same philosophy that we do. So Alphonse versus Philip. So Alphonse, and that's not his real name, but the rest of the story is true. So Alphonse makes the best pizza in all of Mainz. So that's a city where I live. The kind of pizza that really makes you come back, that is a temptation for you. And he doesn't have a big store. He has a little corner. It doesn't even have seats, just a standing table, 2 standing tables outside. So most customers, they just get the pizza and eat it at home. Or you just stand there and eat it there. But he makes great pizza. So they love his pizza. I lived 20 meters from this place, so I had to walk. I walked by his corner so many times during the day. That's why it was a big temptation to just stop. And he had these. He was tricky because he had these small pizzas that you would justify as a snack, and I would prefer a small pizza than a cake in the afternoon as a snack at any day of the week. So it was a real temptation. So he sold a lot of pizza. Okay, he made good money. Now one day I asked him, why he doesn't have staff and why he doesn't have anybody really working with him. Only sometimes his dad would be helping, but only very few times. And Actually, in the summer he was from Italy, like most great pizza people who make great pizza. So he was from Italy, and he took 3 weeks of vacation in the summer, where he actually closed down his whole shop, his whole operations. Said, I'm on vacation, no pizza, and so very expensive vacation. You're not just paying for the vacation, but you're also closing down your shop. So I asked him, why don't you have people? Now, here was his answer. You can't trust anyone. Either they don't make the pizza the way I want, and I lose customers, or they steal from me, because he was in the cash business. If you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. Now, this is a typical saying from a business owner, a small business owner who kind of created in that first phase something great, and then has a problem of mindset of control to give this up, because we feel like we know exactly how to do things. And we do. We know how to do things. But this is the problem. This is kind of the mindset. This is why we can't really get out. Now, and if you want to get out for a vacation or something, you basically are paying for an expensive vacation. If you want to sell your shop at some point, you are selling to a very limited amount of people who are also would want to step in, because you know your business is not worth a lot, because it's worth so much depending on you. Now, a different story basically is that I, 20 meters away from his store, started a coffee shop many years ago in the city of Mainz, and I also lived across this coffee shop. So out of my window, I saw the coffee shop. And his pizza was just a few meters down the street, and my whole philosophy was that I have the goal to work myself out of a job. So I was behind the counter for the first 6 weeks, helping, getting to know the business, really installing the team, and then basically I really just took my time to work on the business rather than in the business. Now, the whole street was run by small business owners who had a mentality of Alphonse, and so they always thought I was the laziest guy in town, because they didn't know what I was all doing and all the projects I was involved in. They thought, he has this coffee shop, it's buzzing, there are a lot of people, but he never works in there. So I actually, was at a point where I just worked 1 or 2 hours a week to lead this coffee shop, because it was set up as a self-managing business, and so if it made 1,000 or 5,000 euros a day, it was not dependent on how much work I was putting in. Now, here's my guess. You didn't start your business to become its full-time servant. But that's how we sometimes feel. We are a full-time servant to our own business. You started it for freedom, for impact, for wealth. But along the way, you became kind of the linchpin. You became the irresistible piece that keeps it all together. And that is dangerous on multiple ends. Now, even if you have a team in place, your business is still relying on you, and we basically need to work through this. Now, there is a way to work through this, and this is really on having a shift in mindset, that your control is not actually controlling everything in your business. You are controlling the design, the architecture of your business. Because the truth is that if you have to be there for things to run, you really don't have a business. You are the bottleneck, and the problem isn't effort. The problem is mindset, to say, okay, how can I design and create something that can run without me being there? So the first key, mindset. Now the second key is that we have to understand the self-managing business equation. Now there's a simple formula to achieve freedom, and here it is. Freedom equals playbooks plus delegation. Playbooks plus delegation. So if you want to create freedom for everything in your business, or just a small piece of your business, you create what I call a playbook. A playbook basically is, you can call it a system, a procedure, a set of rules, a set of instructions So I call it, how do you play a certain aspect of doing that. So in our coffee shop, for example, there was a playbook on how do you prepare the different offerings of the breakfast. How does each breakfast look like? What are the steps? What do you need to do? It was a simple playbook. If you have a simple playbook with clear rules and instructions and kind of an outline, and then you delegate it to the right person. Now, I said delegate. I did not say dump. Okay, so most business owners, they are professional dumpers. And what I mean with it is we are getting under tight pressure. Maybe, and so we think, okay, I need to delegate this, but I'm already under pressure, so I delegate this to, or dump it to a team member, and because I'm under pressure, I'm kind of pushing them, and I want some results, and I get something back, and I look at it, and I say, this is stupid, so I go back and do it myself, and that's why we maybe gave up on the idea of delegation. Now, that's dumping, not delegation. If we delegate something, if we've created a playbook, if we have instructions on how to do something in your business that is repeatable, so anything you do more than once in your business can be put in a playbook, and then you can delegate it to the right person. Now, you still need to have the right person. They still need to think. They need to walk straight. They still need to be able to implement. But basically, whenever you bring a playbook and a delegation together, you create freedom. Now, you don't just create freedom, and that's why this is just one part of the self-managing business equation. You also create growth, because now you actually can focus on something else, and you basically, this is taken care of, and so growth can come into your business. You are not the bottleneck. So the self-managing business equation is, if you want freedom and growth, focus on playbooks and delegation. So crucial. So a self-managing business isn't just about doing less. It's really about focusing on the different roles of your business so that you can work on the business, see that the playbooks and the delegation is working, but you are not the one who's actually implementing. You have to become lazy, so to speak, in the operational world. You have to become lazy in actually doing the work. So that is the second key that is needed. Now, the third key and is basically that you need a roadmap. You need a framework, and that's not magic. It's basically not luck. It's a framework where you can kind of know, okay, now I can concentrate and know what basically I have to do. So I want to give you, and it's in the framework here as well, in more detail to actually assess where you are. So this is a simple pyramid of the self-managing business framework, and I just want to kind of highlight what you need to work on. So the first bottom line, the bottom basically of your self-managing business is that you need to create leads overflow. So you need to generate leads, basically a flood of leads, of high quality leads. Keep your pipeline ready with potential customers, because the more customers you have, the easier it is to actually then build a self-managing business out of it. Now, here's really the truth. There are some business owners that I've talked to that they want a self-managing business. They want that the business runs without them, but it doesn't even run with them. Okay, so if your business doesn't run with you, it's the first step is to let's make it run with me. So let's not just get out of the business. Let's make sure the business works. And if there are a lot of leads coming in, you basically are set up for success, because you have enough people that want your product or your service. So you actually can experiment down the road a little bit more because you have enough people coming in. You're not desperate. If you have to close every sales call, you are desperate, and they can smell that. It's in your breath, so to speak. Now, if you have enough leads, you can qualify them. You can put some people away, and you can just focus on, I just want to work with those leads that I really want to work with. I love have leads overflow when it comes to our programs and our memberships and our community, because I can say, no, you're not the right fit. I don't need you. I have enough people down the line. There's a long waiting list. So don't think that just because you can put money on the table, you can be going on my nerves. Because the truth is, you all know that there are around 5% of your current customers customers or people who are making 95 of your problems and your headaches. They are the people who are just the pain in the butt. And if you have leads overflow, you can just get rid of them. But because you don't have that, you and even more your team has to kind of suffer through some of them because you don't have set that up. So you need to set this up. Leads overflow. You need to know what you measure there, what your KPIs are there, basically what your team is responsible for, so that when you are not in it anymore, you still know leads are coming in and your business is thriving. So that's number one. Number two is conversion mastery. Okay, you're turning and you're learning strategies to turn leads into customers while maximizing customer lifetime value. So you basically, there are so many strategies out there that actually help you make sure that your customer it comes back more often, buys more from you, refers more people to you, and basically buys from you in more quantity or quality every time he or she is visiting your store or is purchasing online or is making a transactional service. So because of how you upsell and cross sell, so you can actually increase the lifetime value of your customer through so many different strategies, and so that's what we basically focus on in the first two steps. That's where we bump up the revenue. If I, for example, can help you implement, and we have a whole framework on this on how to do this, but how do you actually get referrals out of your customers, and make sure that your customers become kind of one of your lead strategy, because you systematically, you're not just hoping that they refer somebody, you actually are implementing a strategy, a framework, so that they will get you leads. Because there's one or even more frameworks you are using and implementing for them to do that. Now, if you do that, all of a sudden, your marketing costs go down, because one lead, one set of leads is basically for free, or you can spend more money on the marketing side, because you can spend more money acquiring a customer, because you know that each customer is worth more. So this is what you need to focus on in the beginning. That's why in our program we talk first about the 10x revenue. That's where we really kind of work through a marketing and sales strategy that everybody can implement to really get the most out of the leads and the conversion. Now, once you have that, you basically want to make sure that your operations is set up in the way you want. You want your team and your systems, your playbooks in your business to run without you, to be able to operate everything that we've talked about, even in marketing and sales, but even more, you start normally in fulfillment and in administration, can run without you. And so you are creating a self-managing operations, because you have playbooks in place that kind of show how to deal with certain situations that come up in your business more than one time. And you have the right people, you've trained the right people, you are putting the right people into your team. They know what their responsibilities are, they know what how you actually assess them, score them, and so that's how you really work yourself out of the business. And that's where freedom and also profit comes from, because you basically are not the bottleneck anymore. And then you become the strategic owner, who through strategy, working on the business, not in the business, can implement some things that can just 10x and really bring leverage to what you're doing. So that's where you basically have the operations in place. Now, you've just learned basically 3 keys, and I could go on and on, but I think they're simple, and I normally always want to break it down to as simple as it can be. First, it's the mindset. Do I really want to give that a control away? Am I ready? Because it's also in the beginning will be a little bit messy. That's very normal. So your mindset needs to be strong. Yes, this is my goal. This is my goal where I want to go. And number one, and number two, you really understand that freedom and growth comes through the playbooks and the team that you're putting in charge. And then you have this pyramid that you kind of know. Okay, what am I assessing and focusing on? And as you are using the framework, the PDF, really you can go through it and assess it. What should I really concentrate on? Now, here's the truth. For a long time, I assumed that just sharing the right information, like I just did, would change everything. You have the right information, and all of a sudden, you change would be the result. Transformation would be the result. But that's actually not the story. So this is a picture. It's I think maybe 10, 15 years old, where I started kind of sharing strategies and started sharing with people around the world about the really things that I would say, if you know this information, it will really help you. It will really make a difference. So I wanted to become the best communicator, and I learned how to communicate from stage. Did a lot of workshops, lectures, speeches, published books, communicated kind of my heart out, and studied and learned absolutely everything that I could learn to be a good communicator. Now, I really wanted to see change in people, and the problem was I got really frustrated, and I wanted to give up, because sometimes I spoke to 1,000 people live. They said goodbye with a standing ovation. Sometimes at the end I gave autographs for people, wanted to take pictures, but if I look closely enough, only a very, very few people experienced the change that I really wanted them to see. And this was frustrating, because I wasn't just wanting to get an applause or write an autograph. I wanted to see people being changed. Now, basically on top of that, I couldn't really understand it, because I felt like the things that I was sharing, the concepts, the principles, the strategies, were really, really good, and I wondered, why are they not working? Why are they are not changing? And then I kind of realized that if I look at 100 people in a workshop, there's only 1 or 2 who really achieve their goal that they are setting up, because and implement and learn what they're learning in basically this workshop. The other 99, they might be very excited, they become maybe fans of yours, but there is no change. And then I realized very quickly that you basically need 2 things for real transformation and real change. Number 1, we need still the right information. I still believe that there's so much noise out there, and a simple roadmap, a simple step-by-step guide to really say, okay, what do I need to do to get myself out of it? Like I shared in this video, the framework, you go like, okay, this is good information. This will help me. Sometimes there's just one idea away for me to experience a breakthrough in my business. But then you also need to implement what we learn. We need to implement it. And so we need to put into practice what we are learning. If we don't, positive change will not happen through the right information. So don't just be good at learning new information. Basically, you need to become obsessed in applying the information, because transformation doesn't happen by accident. It's a process by learning the right information and implementing it into your business and into your life. Thank you for watching the masterclass. Since you watched it all the way to the end, I want to give you a special opportunity, because it tells me that you're not just interested, you are really actually committed in wanting to build a self-managing business. So here's what I want you to leave with. Building a self-managing business is absolutely possible. Even if right now it feels like your whole business would kind of collapse without you. Now, the best part is you don't have to do it alone. We've helped business owners all over the world get out of the weeds and kind of reclaim their time. And now we'd love to help you as well if you are a business owner who really wants to work on the business, not just in it. So here's the next step. You can book, if you want, a free one-on-one strategy call with me or someone from my team. And on the call, we'll do basically 3 things. Number 1, we kind of do a deep dive into your current situation and pinpoint the biggest bottleneck what is kind of holding your business back from running without you. There's normally one bottleneck, one constraint holding you back right now. Now, number 2, we're going to map out your next step. So you leave the call with absolute clarity on what is the next step to building a self-managing business and a clear implementation plan. And number 3, if you feel like it would be helpful, we can also share how we could potentially help you implement your plan if you don't want to do it alone and get some speed on it. Now, if you are a business owner who is serious about removing yourself from the daily operations, really working on your business, not just in it, then this is for you. We'll help you build the business and also the life you've always wanted. So there should be a link in the description, and you can book your strategy session and call right now. It's free, it's personalized, and it could be the turning point, kind of your first step in really building a self-managing business. Looking forward to meeting you.